Good morning, Academy 55 premium members and everybody else who's watching the recording and all those on YouTube. David Kahn here on Tuesday, the 26th of August. It's 5 to 8 in the morning here in the UK, and we're looking at the EUR USD on the 1 minute time frame, following the fortunes of the Academy 55 indicators and strategy. Well, as you can see, not a lot going on at the moment. Volume is not a thing. It's not really happening. We're all going sideways like a crab. But nevertheless, what we'll do is we will have a look at the bigger picture. So we'll go on the daily time frame, take the indicators off. In actual fact, I'll take all the lines off. They were from last week. Support and resistance lines and so. And what we can see is we are very much in a trending, sorry, not a trending, but a sideways consolidation market, big time, really. Like I say, it's not very exciting at all. We've got a big swathe of imbalance down here that needs to be filled, but that's a long way away from the daily time frame at the moment. So we'll go down to the 4-hourly, and there it plays out the similar sort of picture, sideways movement. There's that little bit of imbalance down there. Again, quite a way away. So we'll put it on the line chart, looking for peaks. Two more peaks constitute an important area to look at. And just here is an important area because it was once resistance, but then it was support there. So that area there is important to look at. And consequently, this area here. Resistance, 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 resistance. So quite a few along that line. So we'll leave that line there. And that's basically all there is, really. So we'll come back onto candles. Go on to the 1-hourly. As you can see, we had at 3 o'clock Friday afternoon. Big bit of news caused that. That came down to see how the price came down eventually to mark out that imbalance. And now price has come down to observe that support and resistance line I drew in, and going in between these zones here. This area here is quite important in decision. But we'll go down to the 5-minute. Mark out the zones. And we will note the zones. Horizontal ray. Here is the sell zone. And here is the no, not horizontal line. I want a horizontal ray. That's it. That gives me that. And here is the buy zone. Between the two, not a lot happening since Tuesday, since 3 o'clock in the morning, really. Let's see what's been happening. The Asian market has been a steady market. It's gone up and then it's come back down again. So they're just steadying things. Got a bit of imbalancer here now on these candles. So think of anything, we'd like to see a buy in recognition of the fact that price might want to go and fill out these imbalances, because it's already done so on there's no imbalances here to be filled. But to do that, I'd like to see price getting into the buy zone that we drew up and then push on up. But we've got an imbalance that needs to be filled there. But the good news is, with the Academy 55 strategy and system, we have very small targets to achieve. And here is Steve with an excellent video, a minute long. So please watch this, as to why we only go after small targets.
So here's how you make profits without putting yourself under too much pressure. Let's look at a situation where you've got yourself a $100,000 FTMO prop firm account and you win 10%. You'll win $10,000. Now, FTMO will pay you 80% of that after their 20% commission retention. So you'll make $8,000. $8,000 a month is $96,000 a year. In pounds, that's £71,110. In euros, 82,430. Now in pounds, if you divide that by 12, you'll find it's £5,925 a month. In euros, €6,869 per month. But what if you only won 7.25% per month? Well, your payout from FTMO would be in dollars £1,115 per week, in pounds £1,000 a week, and in euros €956 per week. So as you can see, making profits without putting yourself under undue pressure makes complete sense. Look at the numbers on the screen in front of you now. On the left, if you win only 10% per month, those are the numbers. On the right, if you fail to hit that realistic target of 10% and only achieve 7.25%, that's $1,115 a week, £1,000 a week if you're in the UK, and €956 a week across the Eurozone. This is why we target only 10%. It's all about making profits without putting ourselves under undue pressure.
Thanks, Steve. Very good advice there. And if you want to bump it up, what you do is you get there are apps that you can use that will copy your trades onto other accounts. You don't take other trades, you just make copies of the trades you have taken onto other accounts if you wish to do that. So we're all about taking the pressure off ourselves. Then we can really dial down and look at the trades we want to take. And if we don't see what we want to see, so i.e. if we're seeing all this, no volume, these are minute candles, look at all the indecisions. It's just nothing of any great decisiveness. Nothing's happening at the moment. We need confirmation that on the higher time frames, on the 5 minute, we get into a buy zone down here or a sell zone up there, and then we got an extra confirmation of something is happening. So if we don't see that, because of our low targets that are perfectly achievable with the Academy 55, we just sit and wait for things to happen. And the way you can do that is we've drawn our sell zone and our buy zone. You just right click and add alert on the array that you've built for the sell zone. Same again for the buy zone. So if you need to go away from your computer, you know that if price does get into these areas here, you know you've got the confirmation you need for the next buy and the next sell up there. But this is the time of the day when London opens. If we are going to see any bit of trending going on, it's possibly going to be now, but it's not a given, not written in stone. We trade what we see, not what we think. But on a lot of the days between 7 and 9 in the morning, if we see stuff going on, trending wise, a lot of the times it's between 7 and 9 in the morning. But that's not necessarily the case all the time. If it was, we'd all be very rich. And they don't want that. They want to make the money for themselves, the banks. So they like to keep us guessing. Anyway, so this is where we are at the moment. A whole lot of sideways movement going on, but not much volume. But so here's Steve again. With some homework for you, perhaps.
Hi, this is Steve with a very short video to show you where to get the training for the indicators and tools we use inside Academy 55. So once you're logged into the members area, you'll see in the premium dashboard this section that's entitled Start Learning. And if you click here, that'll take you through to the learning library. Now, we'll say at this point, we highly recommend you watch each of these videos 2 or 3 times to get a full understanding of how everything works. Here you'll find tutorials on using the MT4 Trade Assistant and how to use the MT4 platform with the Trade Assistant. This is the longest video you'll find inside the platform. It's around 30 minutes long, well worth your time. Watch the video once, then maybe write a few questions down that you might have for yourself and watch the video for a second time, and things will really start to make sense. By the time you watch it 3 times, you'll fully understand how everything works. So that's the longest video. It's about 30 minutes long, well worth your time. And then you can jump into individual trainings here for how to remove indicators. These videos are just a couple of minutes long. How to move MetaTrader around like you can in TradingView, Trading Assistant controls, how to do back testing in TradingView, how to draw vertical lines to mark out your hour, and so much more. And by the time you watch this video or see this video, there might be other trainings in this section. But everything here is well worth your time, and you find that, as I said a moment ago, from the main dashboard in the Start Learning section. Now, one more thing just to mention here. If you're looking for anything in particular, if you come down to the support name of FAQs, click on Get Support, and in this area you'll find a detailed FAQ section, and you can come through here. For example, if you're looking for an answer to a question about MetaTrader, have a look through these, and once you click through you'll find direct links to videos that give you answers to most of the questions that we get asked on a regular basis. So hopefully you found this useful, and back to your further training.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. We can only trade what the market is prepared to give us. Now we know price has now come down off this sell. We know there's a buy zone there. I'm prepared to paper trade this because we are in consolidation. And let's have a look. Actually, that could have been. Yeah, that's where the. So you possibly wouldn't have got into it until there. Let's say there. 2 to 1 would be there. So I can see this one could have worked, may work. But like I said before, I was really looking at buys. So my mind wasn't really on a sell. And we are in between zones. And I only need 1 or 2 trades a day. So I'd rather personally wait for confirmation, because personally I'm on 7.4% of my monthly target and we're getting quite late. So I'm quite happy with 7.4, as the previous video said. I'm quite happy with that. And I don't want, obviously I want to get to 10, but I don't want to push it. So therefore, I wouldn't want to risk that. Now we're in the buy zone, and I really wanted to look at taking a buy rather than a sell. I thought we might have reactivated it off that one, but it didn't work out that way. But now we're pushed into the buy zone, because I'll show you. There we go. On the 5-minute time frame, there's the buy zone. Price has now gone into the buy zone. So the next alert is a buy, and I feel like, because of the confirmation we got now, I've got a better confirmation of a buy than I have of that sell from there. And because of our low targets we go for, taking the pressure right off us, I'm prepared to wait for a buy. I can really understand why some people would want to take that trade, but with all the consolidation, lack of volume and all that, it wasn't really appealing. But hey, the Academy 55 indicators showed that it worked because of the cellular, the red wave, red volume, the red trend, and the trend is where the stop loss went, because was the nearest to the entry, and sure enough, down it happened. This buy was never a buy because you had the buy alert there, but you had a red trend, wasn't even facing 3 o'clock, so that never was a thing. That buy alert never materialized. But now we know we're into one of maybe several buy zones, going back on the 5-minute time frame again. So this could develop into a deeper sell, picking up possible buy orders down here, or it might just activate off the one and go and pick off some sell orders which are up there. We have to wait and see, but we know now we've got the confirmation we need that we are indeed after the next buy. So with that being said, I'm going to put my MT4 on and make sure I've got my risk to reward in purple, my lot calc in purple. I've got that all important 1% risk written in there. And I like to keep a minimum of 2.2 pips away. So I write in 22, which represents 2.2. Sorry, I locked that by mistake, so I'll do that again. Yeah, that's better. Widen this out a bit so it looks a bit more. But obviously now I've got to wait for price to get up around here somewhere in anticipation of the wave turning green, the trend line turning green. Obviously a big buy alert, but that may be some time away. But that's okay because, like I said, that's the trouble with new traders. They want things to happen as they want them to happen. I think they can manifest it in their own mind. But like I said before, you can only trade what the market's willing to give you. And you just got to learn to accept that. Especially this time of year. Investors and bankers go on holidays too, you know. And so this traditionally is a quieter time of the year, summer holidays and all that. And also with the world conditions that we find ourselves in nowadays, investors, long-term investors are probably shying away because of you don't want to invest loads of money in something that could end up being a world war or whatever. Well, it might be a little bit extreme, but all the troubles that are going on in the world at the moment. But yeah, I'm quite happy to sort of sit and wait on the banks of the river, float bobbing up and down, waiting for a strike, and you're in. In the meantime, let's just play this for you.
Hi, this is Steve, and in this short video I'm going to just show you the settings for the Trade Assistant to make sure that you've got the minimum 2 pip stop loss on the Euro USD or any currency pair, and how you set it for if you're trading a commodity like the US 100, because the settings are slightly different. So here you can see we're on the Euro USD chart here. I've got my risk to reward on the Trade Assistant locked at 2 to 1. I've got my risk balance at 1%. Lot calculator is on, and my little purple button here between the buy and sell is also activated. So we're ready to bring the Trade Assistant onto the chart. Now you'll notice here that we've got the stop loss set at 20. That indicates 2 pips when you're on a currency pair. And we can actually change that here by typing over it. So if I type in there 40 and just tab off here, you can see now we've got a stop loss of 4 pips because we're on a currency pair. In this example, it's Euro USD, but it could be Euro GBP or any currency pair. So let's just put that back to 20 for our 2 pips. We'll click off here, and now we'll just put the lines on so that you can see that is showing us 2 pips over here on the actual tool, ready to actually get involved with a trade if that's what we were going to do. But that's not what we're here for now. I'm going to click off the lines here, and what we're going to do is we're going to change our chart from Euro USD to US 100, and I can do that by dragging it onto the screen here. You'll see it now switch over to US 100, And now you can see that stop loss says 20, and that's wrong for a commodity. So what we want to do here is come in here and type 2000. This is the equivalent of 2 pips on a commodity such as US 100. So now when I put the lines on, you'll see we've got the number 2000 here, and if I just zoom around, you'll notice the 2 to 1 still applies, 2000 and 4000 here, where we've got a $1,000 trade in place, risking $1,000 to win $2,000. So that's the number that you need to get your 2 pip minimum on. So the minimum number would be 2000. You could have anything above that if you're on a commodity like US 100, and the number will be 20, which is 2 pips equivalent if you're on a currency pair such as Euro USD. Hopefully you found this useful, and thanks very much for watching.
Yeah, so as the Academy 55 members know, we only trade the EUR USD for its smooth, the way it acts, and also the US 100, also known as the NAS 100, because once it goes, a lot of the times it goes, and then you get your 2%. But the same rules apply for both commodities. But with US 100, you're dealing in units. And for EUSD, you're dealing with pips. So you just got to remember those two differences. But this is the scenario. We're well and truly in the buy zone now. So this is scenario I'd be looking at. 2.2 a minimum, which is there. Well, that's 2.4, but I'm going to split hairs over that. There we go, that's near enough. And 2 to 1, which is a 2%, nice 2% profit, if indeed we get there. At the moment, the way it stands at the moment, but the wave is sort of decreasing a little bit from that one. So the volume for the sell is decreasing a little bit, but we got into more sideways movement, as you can see. But like I said, between 7 and 9 on the EUR USD is the time when things do trend a little bit. So we're sort of pinning our hopes on that's what might happen again. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. And you can continue with EUR USD all day, or come back maybe if time allows on the EUR USD and the US 100, NAS 100, and I like to do the NAS 100 after 2:30 in the afternoon UK time, because that's when the volume really kicks in for it, because of New York Stock Exchange opening. If time and your day allows. But the overall feeling is there's no pressure because you've got a low target. And some days trading, you'll have a lot of opportunities where you can take a couple of trades and possibly get a 4%. And other days, you might not, you might feel you don't get hardly any opportunities at all, which is fine. Because at the end of the day, 10% target is only 5 winning trades. And wouldn't it be best to get the best probabilities on each and every trade, really, that you rather than rush it? I used to rush things when I first started trading, and ultimately you end up sorry that you did. But now price is pushing on up, which is what I wanted to see anyway. Doesn't mean to say it's going to turn back around again. It might turn up. Oh, hang on. But I've turned over to my MT4 now in readiness, just in case. The red volume is flattening out. Waiting for a buy alert, possibly. Parabolic is already below price, which is good. And indeed, a buy alert did flicker on and off very, very quickly. But we've got to wait for these chaps here to turn green. So all of a sudden, we are potentially near maybe getting a buy trade. I mean, it might well be that we go and fill it out this imbalance here and then go back down again. We don't know. So this is where I want my stop loss to be, just there. It's not green yet. Just started to get a green volume. Got the buy alert well and truly in its place now. I'll lock my stop loss in there because that's where I want it to be on the wave. It's not green yet, but if price gets up here, it'll go green. And we're anticipating a green trend. So I'm prepared to give it a little bit more, a few more pips before we actually get into the trade. I'm at my minimum now, but the wave has started to turn green. I want to give it a little bit more of a confirmation that we are going to get a bit higher. So I've got my mouse hovering over the buy. We're at 3.1 pips at the moment. Being governed by that trend line in anticipation of that turning green. I might even give it a little bit more. Might be prepared to give it about 5 pips. Because what I'm thinking is this imbalance there, was it just there to fill that out and then come back down again? Maybe, maybe so. But if it carries on up, obviously it's not done it for that reason. And we might get ourselves a bit more of a buy, but we shall see. We're at 3.8 pips. Certainly stopped there, hasn't it? Right, this is where I'm in the trade now. 5.6 pip stop loss. My hope is I was anticipating a green trend line, but is price going to go and hit our EMA 462? I certainly hope so, because our 2% is in the way. But whatever a 1% loss is, a 1% loss, take it on the chin, whatever. It is what it is. This trend line will surely go green. I was anticipating that. I was waiting because it just scrunches up a bit. This is why we use TradingView, because this area here, we had a little bit of imbalance. Was price coming up just to fill that and then come back down again? Because we got all these imbalances here as well, you know. But as we know, I think I'll go on trade review. As you can see, 5.6. So I got in, hang on. Yeah, I would have got in there. Just there. Which brings my 2%, as we saw, just below or equal to the purple line. So that's where I am at the moment. Oh, got a bit of volume coming in, which is nice to see. Here's where I just, because I'm already in the trade now. By the way, all trades are for educational purposes only. Put it on the 5-minute time frame. Because we got like imbalances that need to be filled here. So price has a reason to get up to here, and they will eventually. And obviously, I'm hoping that they'll do it within my buy trade that I put in. But also, we've got imbalances here, of course. So I mean, but we know that we got, because price went into the buy zone. You know, historically, we got a 75% win rate from these trades, around about that mark. But again, go back to the minute again. I was being cautious, very cautious, as I am normally, because the reason why I got in here, here, is because this small candle here was an imbalance candle, and sometimes price taps into these imbalance candles and then comes back down again. So I was making sure that was not the case. So that's why I got in there rather than down here, my 2.2 pips. Some people would have got in down here, but I'm a little bit more of a cautious trader than that. And sometimes I pay the price for that, and sometimes I don't. But at the end of the day, it's just 1%, no big deal. Because I know in the long run, because of the journal that I keep, that I'm very successful at this. So we'll put the now the trend line's gone green, look. Obviously, because of that. And now we're nearly 1%. I'm nearly 1% in profit. Here is an area where price has stalled a bit, so that's where it is at the moment. And also we've got the purple line there. So let's hope it goes a little bit higher for that. And visits up that area there, which would be nice. Because this is the EMA 462 line. 462 of these candles, which is also a Fibonacci number. This is where price likes to sit sometimes. But now we've got the parabolic SAR above there, I feel confident enough now to put my stop loss to my entry. So whatever happens now, I've got a risk-free trade. because if price comes down and swallows this parabolic SAR and up again, chances are price will go deeper down into these imbalance areas down here and take out my stop loss. And to minimize the risk of that happening, I've got now a risk-free trade going on. But ultimately, I do like to hope that we do carry on just that extra couple of pips that we need to get the 2%. It's gingerly going up there. There are no guarantees in any of these trades, obviously. And in fact, what I'll do now is I will push my stop loss up underneath that parabolic SAR there. So I give on a $100,000 account, I'll give myself $316 for my time here with you today. Just in case it does turn around, which is quite capable of doing. You never know what's going to happen. Something really good for the dollar might happen while we're on this trade. You never know. But it would be nice to see an extra couple of pips, but yeah, doesn't matter what I think. And indeed, I can push it was a stop loss. Now I'm pushing it into stop profit. So I'm underneath that parabolic SAR there. So now, if it does turn around, I've got myself $580 on a $100,000 account. Not a bad wage for the day. I'm sure you agree. And I'm quite happy with that. And I feel a lot more relaxed and comfortable in myself. Just in case they do decide to come down and fill out these imbalances. Sometimes they even just come down to there where the entry was and come back down again. And they actually might do that. But I've got $580, which is fine. I'm happy with that. I was being cautious anyway by giving myself a big stop loss. And it looks at the moment, I'm on the precipice of getting $580 on a $100,000 account, which is a profit. And that's the idea of trading. You make yourself a profit. But obviously, I hope that we do get a push up. But one never knows. See, when you're doing the US 100, certain times of the day, could all be over within 2 minutes. Because, like I said, once it goes, following the exact same rules of the indicators. But we have to appreciate the EUR USD, although it's a smooth, it's not the same. It doesn't operate the same. But this is where we are. I'm not going to bring my stop profit down because at the end of the day, I'm going to have a $580 profit if it does come down and take it out. And I live to fight another day or another time of the day, and recognizing the market is a bit tentative as well. So I'm quite pleased with that. However, it turns out. This is why every trader is different. Like I said before, some traders might have got in down there at 2.2 pips. I waited till I was at 5.7 pips, I think it was. That's why every trader is slightly different. I'm perhaps maybe a bit more cautious than some other traders, but I'm trading in front of you guys, and that makes me a bit more even cautious than I possibly would be, because all at the end of the day, all trades are for educational purposes only, but I do know that some people do bother me. So I'm on the precipice of perhaps just getting out $580, which is fine, which is really good. Really happy with that. Another perhaps another 0.58% onto my 7.4 I've got at the moment. So that's 8% now for my monthly target, which is really happy about. I'm not tempted to move my stop loss. Sorry, I keep calling it stop loss. It's now stop profit. I'm not tempted to move that stop profit because because I understand what price can do. Price could turn around and knock out that parallel SAR and carry on up, but ultimately it could carry on down beyond there where my original stop loss was, and I would be out. And indeed, there it did. It knocked it out. So I've got $580, sorry, $580, which by the time they take out 80%, oh, I can't do the math. It's possibly $480, which is again 430 quid, maybe pounds, British pounds. So that is a really good day's wage for a lot of people in the UK. So that's where we were. That's where I was being cautious. But so I marked that up with the trend line. So I got out here. That's where I was taken out. So I'm fine about. But if I'd have got in, let's put the indicators back on, it helps, doesn't it? But if I'd have got in at 2.2, I dare say I would have been less cautious. And for me, a bit more reckless. So no, I would have got in, couldn't have got until about there really. Or that candle there, which is 2.9. Dragging it down to, yeah, I would have, yeah, there we go. See? Oh, I would have well got my 2% by being less cautious. But I'm more of a cautious trader. So that's where I was that's where I was. So I mark that up. But I'm happy with that. TP, take profit. I like to put a little arrow as a marker there. So when I come to put it on my journal, and then I'll let this play out. And then if this does come down and takes my stop loss, I was cautious in a good way because I got a little bit of profit. There's no right and wrong. There's no right or wrong. It's how you feel, your experience, and what your limitations are, and everybody's different. So, with that being said, there's no point watching this, what it will do, because price could come down here, which it has done many times actually, and then go back up again. Doesn't matter because I've already got my little bit. And I'm not coming back later on today because I am got other plans. So I won't be near my computer personally. So I won't be, but other people could come back later on using the EUR USD or the NAS 100. And then trade again, build on that maybe, or they might even lose, I don't know. But I'm waiting for another time of the day, but I'm not going to be doing that myself because I'm happy with what I got and achieved. So with that being said, guys, I do appreciate you being on, and we'll see you again tomorrow. So thanks very much for being on today, and have a great day. Bye for now.